think the most important thing, and that I really believe this applies to any marketer, any company, any industry, whatever. It's about understanding your customers and who you want to be your customers.
In today's episode, we're deep diving into the world of productivity tools and B2B SaaS marketing with a seasoned expert in the field, Ilya Markov. As the marketing director at Toggl, Ilya's mission is to bring clarity to time management and ensure stress-free planning. By doing this, Ilya and his team are revolutionizing how service businesses operate, bill, and strategize. Join us for another episode of the DesignRush Podcast. I'm your host, Bianca Mayer. Thank you so much for joining us today and taking the time out of your obviously very busy schedule, which we'll get into a little bit later. Now, to kick things off, let's take a little bit of a deep dive into the foundations of your career, from your educational background to your initial forays into the world of marketing. Of course, every journey has its beginnings. So, looking back over your last 15 years in marketing, what was the thing that got you started in your career? I mean, did your education and interests shape your journey to where you are now?
Definitely. First of all, thanks a lot for having me on the show, Bianca. Really happy to be here. Definitely my education had a mark on my career and even on my kind of change of direction, because original plan and like what I'm still interested in more on a, like now it's just reading and like following the news, but the original plan was to go into politics, which kind of fizzled out at some point, or it kind of lost its allure once you kind of meet with the rough world out there, especially the world of politics. But then the next step was like getting my I have a master's degree in business administration from the University of Michigan, and that's when I really got exposed to, first of all, the tech industry, and then marketing, digital marketing, tech marketing, and that's when I really started to get interested in that whole area, and it's what led me into what I do today, which I'm super happy about. And I know like B2B SaaS marketing, not the most exciting job in the world, not something that sounds like super exciting when you hear it, but I like it, and it's something that
you ask, really.
Sorry?
I think that depends on who you ask.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And it's something that when I wake up in the morning, I feel passionate to start doing stuff. And at my current job at Toggl, the team that I work with is just super amazing. And I'm very excited to kind of hang out and like spend time and work with these people. We actually have a team meetup coming up next week, so I'm super excited for that as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, okay, you jumped into managerial roles pretty early on in your career, right? So the first 10 years of your career, if I remember exactly. So was that always the plan, or did you just kind of fall into that?
Somewhere in between, I would say. It's more, it followed the natural progression. So I come from a content and SEO background in marketing. It wasn't my first job in digital marketing was a lot more, or tech marketing. It was broader, more of a project management, or I guess nowadays it would be more of even like a product management job to some extent. But during that time, I got really interested in content marketing. Was still new back then, and just coming up, and I got really interested in it, in SEO as well. And that's how I started. I was like, okay, this is something I want to get more experience in, do more in, and I kind of started transitioning to similar roles. And I had a chance to first, I think the natural progression is first doing the job, then kind of managing the job, and then managing people, or at least that was my path. It didn't always feel very quick or like a quick success or anything like that. So I'm sure there are people out there who probably feel frustrated, or they feel like they're not making fast enough progress, but I'll just tell them to kind of stay there for the ride. I'm sure it's going to work out for them. Just keep working on your skills, keep doing the job, and always position yourself for the next thing that you want to do. one piece of excellent advice I've read, when I was early in my career.
Okay.
So as I said, first, doing content marketing, writing a lot of articles, a lot of blog posts, doing SEO optimization, on-page optimization, like very simple stuff. Then figuring out what this should look like for a company as a program, as a strategy, and implementing it. And then now in my current role at Toggl, I've actually made the switch from focusing on just one channel or just one program to leading the whole marketing team.
Amazing. So, okay, before stepping into your role at Toggl, though, you spent a good chunk of time in content roles, as you were just mentioning. So, what side would you say you feel more at home with? So, content or marketing?
Now I think I would say marketing, like leading people, managing a team.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm super passionate about. I enjoyed doing the work, but I wasn't in love with it. I enjoyed writing, but when you have to write as a job, it's not like, it kind of loses its, you're not Ernest Hemingway anymore.
Yeah.
You cannot kind of make an excuse for having an early drink, at lunch or anything like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I wasn't madly in love with the job. And that's how, making this switch is first to managing a program, and now to managing people. Actually working with people I find it definitely more challenging than writing blog posts or setting a content strategy, but also a lot more rewarding when you see people growing, when they feel like they're learning and expanding their skills. I think that's like a real passion now.
100%, and that's like super relatable, everything you just said, to be honest. So, okay, now transitioning a little bit from the past to the present, Toggl has been a significant chapter in your story thus far. So let's explore your experience with this renowned productivity tool and how it's shaped in your recent ventures. So 2 years as the marketing director at Toggl. Can you tell us a little bit more about what Toggl is, and maybe share some of the challenges you faced to get the word out initially?
So Toggl, the brand itself is quite familiar. And to kind of answer your second question, it wasn't super hard to get the word out because Toggl is already very well known.
Okay.
It's a set of, for those who don't know, it's a suite of productivity tools. We have 3 different tools actually under the Toggl umbrella. Track, which is the time tracking tool. Most people know Toggl for Track. We have Plan, which is a project management / capacity and utilization management tool. We have these 2 tools are owned by one team. So there's one team that oversees Track and Plan. And we have a separate team that is building and growing Toggl Hire, which is a tool for companies of any size to hire the best people.
That's really interesting.
So yes, as the marketing director at Toggl, I actually oversee Track and Plan actively. Of course, I have some FaceTime with the hire team from time to time when they need help, or just to kind of align and make sure we're on the same page when it comes to the brand, at least. That's the short description of what Toggl is. One of the challenges, I already mentioned how the brand is very well known, but there is a little bit of the perception is that Toggl is something for freelancers, remote workers, even people who are interested in productivity from a personal point of view, which I call consumers when it comes to productivity tools.
Sure.
While we want Toggl to be something that's really for teams, and especially teams, we call them knowledge service companies, regardless of the size. Could be one person, it could be like a 1,000 person team. Okay. And the idea is that it's people who really make a living by selling their knowledge. And because your knowledge is like, you cannot productize it, otherwise you'll be selling a product.
Sure.
There's a vector to it, and that vector is time. So the idea of like tracking your time, analyzing your time, understanding how to plan for it as well, where it goes, and then helping you with everything around that concept of like time and knowledge.
Okay, very cool. So obviously we know that Toggl is all about boosting productivity. So how do you make sure that your marketing goals match that?
I think the most important thing, and I really believe this applies to any marketer, any company, any industry, whatever. It's about understanding your customers and who you want to be your customers. I already mentioned this, like Toggl, very familiar, very well known for freelancers, people interested in personal productivity. Since I've joined, we've made a very conscious effort to understand our what we call the target audience, which is this, as I already spoke about, like the knowledge service organizations, companies, professionals. Sure. So understanding them and then understanding what their needs are, what they're struggling with, and how they can solve these issues. And it's really 50-50 split between learning from them and educating them on how to solve the challenge, how to overcome these challenges. And it's not always, when I'm saying educating, it's not always about pushing your product. Internally, we speak about our content marketing, for example. Content plays a huge role for Toggl. Historically, it also played a huge role for the success of Toggl. And we speak about content as part of the product. I already mentioned this multi-product strategy that we pursue. We almost treat content as a separate product, where if you have a need for time tracking your time, analyzing it, understanding how to bill your clients, whatever, you go for track. If you have a need to plan your time, you go to plan. But if you have a need to learn more about how to run an agency, how to run a service business, how to analyze profitability, you go to the Toggl blog, and this is where you find that product to solve that need that you have.
Sure.
So I think, and everything we do with our marketing strategy kind of rotates around the same idea. We have an initiative called the Toggl Academy, where we invite people who are really experts in helping agencies and service businesses. We invite them to give webinars and to talk to our audience about specific challenges and specific things that they can solve, whether it's about HR, hiring, measuring productivity, understanding like the underlying numbers of your agency and so on.
Amazing. That's fantastic. When did you start doing that actually?
The Toggl Academy, I think we started it late last year. I think it was the beginning. So it's about a year old now. It's a monthly, it really is a webinar that happens once a month. If people are interested in this, they can go to our blog or our website and find more information about it and sign up to get informed of following episodes.
Wonderful.
So yeah, this is just one of the initiatives, but again, it's something that's very pointed towards our audience, as I said, and we try to kind of really narrow down what we talk about, learn from the best in the industry, and also kind of use that learning to build on it and provide more knowledge for the community.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to be checking that out, actually. So we've also seen that Google has been shaking things up with SEO this year. So how has Toggl been rolling with those punches? I mean, do you guys have any like tactics that you're working on regarding that?
Yeah, for sure. Tell me about punches. We've seen it all. We found recently that we've been affected by one of the algorithm changes in Google. So we've made a conscious decision because we actually the Toggl blog has been around for over 10 years, I think, and it has a lot of content from different ages, almost different people, and with the three products also like pursuing different kind of different topical areas because of the different focuses of the three products. So we went back, we went through a series of audits actually, culminating with the last one, which like we really kind of examined each piece of content that we have on the blog, and I'm talking about I think we had over 900 pieces of content when I first joined, and really figuring out very critically, with a very critical eye, going and saying, should we keep this or should we get rid of it? And we found that with actually quite a big amount of our content it didn't serve any purpose. It wasn't on topic, it wasn't on brand because it was from a while ago. It wasn't getting any links or any traffic or any searches. Like it didn't show up in Google searches at all. So for a lot of that content, we decide that it's not helpful to anyone. There's no point in it just being out there, just producing more clutter. Personally, I think there's a lot of clutter in content. So we decided that it's time to essentially just get rid of it, of a lot of that, and go back and figure out and get very focused. We also have quite a bit of old existing content which needs to be updated, rewritten, even updated for 23 because it's kind of old. So we're now pursuing a lot more focused strategy where we, again, going back to this idea of being helpful to our audience, we're just nailing down on these topics that we think will be useful to them and focusing on producing content for them, high quality content.
Yeah, actually, DesignRush did a similar thing fairly recently, and is still kind of working through that. I don't think it's not an easy thing to tackle, actually, trying to go and have a spring clean of the old clutter that you were talking about as well. And you're right, content can get quite clutterful.
Are you already seeing any results with that? I'm just curious to.
I was actually just about to ask you the same thing.
We are starting to.
Yes, I think we have seen, sort of waves of it working, not working. I think we're still kind of fine-tuning it, as I assume most other companies in similar positions are seeing as well. I mean, especially with this new algorithm and everything from Google, which happens often, as we know.
Yeah.
It's about that pushing and pulling as well. So, I mean, I think we have, yes, I think we've seen some spikes here and there, but we're definitely still working on it, I think. And you guys?
I'm very afraid of jinxing it, but we definitely are as well. We started seeing, for example, with new content that we publish on the blog, it gets picked up by Google very fast and pushed to the first page and the top of the results even. And I think it kind of speaks to, I don't know if it's a permanent thing where Google now thinks we've kind of, gotten our stuff together, so we're finally doing what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Or they're kind of giving us the benefit of the doubt and saying, well, let's give them some kind of places on the first page and see how it performs if people like it. But whatever it is, I'm very confident, because now the content we're publishing, it's we're really paying attention to what's going out and making sure it's helpful. So I'm sure, even if it's more of the the latter scenario I described, I'm sure it will work out for us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like you said, let's not talk too much about it because we might jinx it, and I don't want to do that for you. So, but yeah, congratulations on that anyway. I'm very happy that you guys have been seeing a positive reaction from that. So, I mean, look, speaking of evolving digital landscapes, I've heard quite a few folks talking about the rapid adoption of generative AI, possibly signaling the end of traditional SaaS. I think the argument was that users are leaning away from screens, and that the future of software might become more about seamless decision making rather than interactive interfaces. What is your take on this? And is there anything to that, do you think?
I think it will definitely, AI definitely has the potential to upend our vertical of the SaaS industry when it comes to especially time tracking and productivity. Very positive about Toggl, definitely during the Q8, but even I wouldn't suggest that people enjoy tracking time. I don't get, I don't spring out of bed in the morning excited to start my timer.
Sure.
But at the same time, we've seen with Toggl that ease of use plays a huge role. And I know it's ease of use is something that every SaaS company claims. Like there's no SaaS company in the world that says, no, we're hard to use. Every SaaS company claims they're easy to use. But we see with us that we actually have customers who come to us and they switch from another tool because Toggl is so much easier to use. And I think this is where AI will play the biggest role in the time tracking vertical. Just making the whole experience, that data generation, even more seamless. I think this is where it has the potential to revolutionize the tools that we're using. That's one thing. We're big on it. We're already investing in it. We've actually adopted a very iterative approach where we're looking for ways to use AI to make small improvements to the experience.
Okay.
Culminating over time in something where it becomes completely automated. And I think that's coming anyways.
Exactly.
That's one thing. The other thing, however, which is big, and I think people will care a lot more in the coming years, is this idea of staying in control of your data, the data that you produce, and making sure it's used in an ethical way. And this is something that's also like part of the Toggl brand. We have something called the anti-surveillance statement, which is part of the brand, as I mentioned, where first of all, we don't believe in surveillance because we don't think it works. But we've also built Toggl in a way where it's not a good fit if that's what you want to use time tracking for. So any type of taking screenshots, measuring activity, any of that stuff, you won't find in Toggl. And if that's what you're looking for, our team, actually, our sales team has a very easy time when someone comes and asks about this, and we just tell them to go and check out other tools because Toggl is not a good fit for that.
Sure.
And I think this will become even bigger with the advent of AI because people already feel kind of uneasy about AI, and there's a lot of talk about the risks of AI. And I think it will become even bigger with that whole idea of keeping your data private will become even bigger with AI.
I have to agree with that. I think a lot more people are probably sitting up and thinking about like, wow, I don't really want to be surveilled with everything that I do. And, it's quite scary. Like with every single user agreement that we just blindly sign, you don't really know what's in there actually. So you don't
We've all
really
seen the Matrix. We've all seen the Matrix, and I think we're all scared of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that it feels real.
100%. Just an FYI, please, people, don't watch the fourth Matrix. It will ruin the first three, in my opinion. So, another thing though, while we're on the topic of AI and machine learning, are you seeing any other golden opportunities in SaaS marketing with that?
When it comes to productivity and time tracking, especially?
Not necessarily, just anything in like SaaS marketing. Do you see like any other things that AI could be, changing?
For sure. As I said, I think it's gonna upend not just our corner of the industry, but a lot more. To be honest, even though SaaS has been around for over 10 years now, and it's like there's so much talk about it, and like we know all the deals, all the VC money that goes into it. To be honest, so it feels like it doesn't feel new anymore. But to be honest, I think we're just at the beginning of the adoption curve, because if you think about how many companies there are and how many needs they have, I think we're just at the beginning of that curve of adopting software to solve all these different things. And I think AI will play a role there where it will kind of make this adoption even higher and help companies with even more things. And I think pretty much every company in every corner of the world is struggling hiring enough talent, like skillful, educated talent. So I think this is where AI will help as well, kind of helping with those hiring needs.
Exactly. So, like DesignRush, or at DesignRush, we're all about like connecting businesses with the best digital agencies globally. So with Toggl Story, how crucial has it been for your team to team up with the right partners or agencies? And do you think that platforms like DesignRush could make those connections smoother?
Yes, for sure. For us, we sometimes have specific needs that can be solved a lot better by hiring someone who's a real expert in a specific field on a short term agreement than hiring someone who's like more of a broader expert full time to do a bunch of different things. That's one area where, and like helping with a platform that allows you to connect with the right partner right away is super useful. And the other area where it really helps is when you have, like, when you want to experiment with a new tactic, a new platform, channel, whatever, and working with either a freelancer or an agency helps you do that very quickly. I think these are the two areas where working with external partners really makes sense.
Exactly. So both Toggl and DesignRush have also been riding this remote work wave for quite some time now. Have you noticed any shifts in productivity compared to pre-pandemic days?
I can't say much has changed. I've been with fully remote companies for a lot before the pandemic, even a long time before the pandemic. So I don't think I've noticed any big changes. What I really enjoy is that the pandemic kind of pushed many people in companies to experiment with remote work, and many people found that they really like it and that they're a lot more productive that way, and that kind of gives them a much better balance between still being productive, good professionals, but also having time for the family or to exercise or to do whatever they like to do and they want to spend their time on. So they don't have these time anchors anymore of like spending 2 hours commuting every day, because there's no other way. There is another way, we know. And even with, I know now there's a little bit of push to go back to the office. That's kind of, a lot of people are talking about that. Even big companies which should be kind of investing in remote, such as Zoom. Zoom inherently won so much from remote work. Even they now are pushing people to go back to the office. I think this is just kind of a backlash, but you cannot really stop progress. And I firmly believe that remote work is progress. It's here to stay, and it will only go up and like continue growing from here. So I'm sure that trend will continue.
100%. I have to say I agree. I also see a lot of companies are doing more hybrid work now. So, spending part of the time in the office and then part of the time at home. Which, I think for some people, maybe that works as well. At the end of the day, I think, we're all different, and some of us really benefit from going into the office and actually seeing our colleagues face to face. And some of us also really benefit from being at home. So maybe that's also a good answer. What do you think?
For sure. And I know I'm very optimistic and bullish on the future of remote work, but I understand that different people have different circumstances. Including myself. I have a little baby at home, so I cannot really work from home. It's kind of impossible at this point to have your focus to yourself. So I go to a co-working space. But whatever it is, I think it's like people have to find something that really works for them and makes them really productive, and like allows them to be successful, and not be pushed into something that because someone else decided it's a better option for them.
Exactly. And I think people should definitely have freedom to do that, and of course be trusted enough to be able to make the right decision regarding that too. So with so many SaaS players out there, how does one make their user experience pop, would you say? I mean, do you have any tips for standing out in this crowded market?
I think I kind of alluded to it a little bit. Just have a very strong position and opinion on things that matter in the market. So I told you, for us, one of them is ease of use, and the other one is just not having and not making it hard to monitor people with our software. So for us, these are two very strong positions that we have. We're very happy to have them. We don't struggle at all. It's really easy for us, and I think it wins us a lot of support and love for the brand from our audience.
Very cool. Okay, so now going a little bit beyond Toggl, You've also ventured into the realm of SaaS marketing consulting with Markov Unchained. And I find it really interesting how you balance this alongside your primary role at Toggl. So I'd like to get a little bit into that. First of all, where did the name Markov Unchained come from?
Oh, it's it's a play on Django Unchained, the movie by Quentin Tarantino, which is a very interesting movie. Not my favorite, perhaps, but it's still I like it and I like the name.
Okay.
And a concept from statistics, which is called a Markov chain. I'm completely unrelated to the Russian mathematician. I think it's Anatoly Markov, maybe. I'm not sure about his first name. Which kind of he was trying to explain events that seem random, but they're not completely random. And I think that's how the world works as well. Like the world is random as a whole, but they're like little connections in things. So as an example of like a Markov chain, for example, would study. We know that weather is random, like the temperature during the days is a random thing. But if it's 35 today where you are, probably it's not going to be minus 20 tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty much impossible. So this is like the Markov chain kind of studies these connections between random effects. So kind of took these two concepts and merged them and used my name as well to kind of also give the idea of how brands can unchain their growth by getting some help with marketing and growth.
I absolutely love that. That's really cool. Okay, so you've also been going strong with Markov Unchained for like the last 10 years. So how do you juggle that alongside Toggl? I mean, you must have a super busy schedule.
Honest answer is I don't at the moment. Like my time right now is split pretty much between Toggl and my family. But it's in the past it's been an opportunity to kind of get involved and work with brands and companies I really like and understand about them and like what they need and help them with this concept of growing, whether it's through content, SEO, or just like marketing and growth in general.
Cool. So over the years, you've also had your hands on a ton of projects. So like things from social media campaigns to inbound marketing strategies. Were there any that felt to you like you were climbing Everest, but they turned out to be like super rewarding at the end?
Yes, for sure. And honestly, pretty much every gig and every project feels like this.
Amazing.
It's always, and content, and especially in SaaS and in marketing, it's super competitive, super noisy. So you really have to, knowing what not to do is just as valuable as knowing what to do and doing it. So it's always a balance of just finding the right things, being really focused, really disciplined, and executing on the things that can help. And that's when you see the results, that feels really rewarding, because it kind of it's always it's never 100% your skills and like your experience. It's a lot of luck as well. I wouldn't I would be the first to say that. But also like when you see things work, that kind of gives you that feeling of fulfillment, because you pick the right things to focus on and the right things to leave out.
Sure, exactly. You've also mentioned before actually that you're open to mentoring and advising SaaS companies. So when it comes to giving this type of advice, is there like a golden nugget of advice that you keep repeating?
Yes, I already mentioned it. Go and talk to your customers. Spend a lot of time talking to customers. And when I say talking to customers, yes, a lot of the time it's actually getting on a call and talking to them. Sure. But it's also reading forums, going to Reddit, watching videos on YouTube. Just understand how your customers work, how they live, if you're a consumer company, what they're struggling with. And get really geeky about your topic, because at the end of the day, it's not just about listening to them and repeating what they said, but actually finding new things, developing new thinking, new ways of doing things. And that's what your customers will really reward.
Very good. Okay. So, and for the folks that are like eager to dive into marketing, Do you have any must-know tips in areas that they should zero in on?
I don't think there's like a one recipe for everyone. What I would always suggest is just to be super curious, spend a lot of time reading. Honestly, I don't read as many blogs anymore. I used to read a lot more, like different blogs, forums, and so on. Nowadays, it's more books that I read, and it's really like once you get interested in a specific topic, start digging in it, start looking for other books. Once you start reading, you see people suggest other sources, whether it's books or blog posts or communities or anything, and just kind of like go and explore and learn more. And I think that's how you'll find the area that you're really interested in and what you want to do, and get an expert in it and find your calling there.
Amazing. Are there any recent ones that you've read that you would like to recommend?
There's like two books I always come back to.
Okay.
I haven't read them recently, so I have to reread them because they're this good. I love them. One is I forgot the name. It's the book on positioning by April Dunford. I'm sure people will find it very easy to find it because it's an amazing book. People love it. It's not a huge book, so it won't take you too long to read. Very good. I highly recommend it to people. And the other one is called Monetizing Innovation, which is a book on monetization and pricing for technology companies in general. It's an amazing read, a must read for everyone who's interested in marketing.
Amazing. And just also actually talking about people management, I read one recently called The Toyota Way. It's not necessarily a big or new book, really. Well, it's a big book, but it's not a new book. But it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. It talks about like how Toyota set up their management. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, it's the lean, the lean and like Kanban and all of this came out of the Toyota. And I've seen it, like these principles that they built, their management system on. I've seen them implemented in hospitals, in like all over the place. So it's a very good, it's a very good recommendation. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. It's very good. Yeah, I'm glad you've heard of it as well. So, okay, so peering into the horizon now, the future holds endless possibilities, especially in what we've already established is the ever-evolving world of SaaS marketing. So, with your vast experience, Ilya, we're eager to hear your predictions and upcoming plans. Now, given your extensive SaaS marketing background, do you have any bets on where the industry is headed?
I think it's really hard to make these kind of like broad predictions. Whatever I say, I think will tend to kind of be wrong on many levels. Probably not a very hard prediction to make that. I think AI will change, kind of like what cloud did to software. I think AI will kind of repeat. So now it feels like everyone's talking about it and no one really knows what's going to happen. I think that's probably true. No one really knows what will happen. And people, because of that, some people might, kind of be ready to just discount AI and think that it won't make a big difference. I think it will. I think it's kind of hard to say how exactly it will change things. One very obvious way is to kind of, we'll see it embedded in everything. So it will kind of make it easier to do more with less, with fewer people and so on. But I also think it will help SaaS, because going back to this idea of it will help with adoption. Like once you don't have to do so many things on your own, you actually be more likely to adopt software to do it for you.
Sure.
We've seen that any meaningful improvement in productivity and ease of use, just to say it very broadly, kind of leads to high levels of adoption. So I think that's, with AI helping with both, it's also bound to happen and to help. Yeah, I think that's like the easy prediction to make about SaaS. But all in all, I know this year is kind of tough, like with markets, like there's a lot less money going on. We see layoffs and so on. But I think that's just an episode, and I think the future for SaaS and for tech is bright.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense, and that's quite true actually. So I mean, look, are there any upcoming features or projects at Toggl that you're especially excited about?
Yes, a whole bunch. We are really looking into um, like the analytics side of things and what you can do with the data that you're generating, and that's a huge area, and I'm very excited for that because I believe that people will be able to do a lot more with the data, understand a lot more about their business, and that will allow them to run much better businesses where they feel like they find a better balance between work and life. More opportunities to kind of be more profitable, make it better for their teams and so on. So that's something that we're working hard on, and I'm very excited for.
Cool. Okay, so I know that you mentioned that you're not really reading blogs and stuff like that anymore, but I did want to ask, are you following any specific groups that you're a part of, to keep up with marketing trends, or do you follow any or subscribe to any newsletters that people can maybe go and do?
The one I always go back to is I'm a member of Reforge, the education community for growth, product, tech, marketing, and so on. And I really find that their thinking and their expertise is always top notch. And it's whenever I have and they've made it very easy inside of the platform to kind of find even specific concepts. So if you're struggling with a specific issue, how to monetize or how to run pricing analysis or pricing research, I go to that community just to read or to ask for advice, and I've gotten very good advice over the years from the community as well.
That's wonderful. I think, groups and forums and communities online, I think people would be quite surprised how willing strangers on the internet are to help, with any problems that you're facing at the moment. So yeah, I think that's very cool. So okay, for all the SaaS newbies out there, what would you say? I mean, I think you kind of already said that there is no magic formula or one strategy that works for everybody. But is there certain things that they can do to make some noise and grab eyeballs in the market?
For sure. I like the first thing to me is just to be super curious.
Yes.
And use everything as an opportunity to learn, and then use these learnings and share them with the world. Don't keep it to yourself. And I think when you're sharing that knowledge, it's like the best advertisement you can have for yourself, and that's what people will come back to and kind of use to understand where you're at and whether you're someone that they can work with.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. So, Helia, I think we're busy wrapping up now. If it's okay with you, I'd like to just quickly play a little quiz with you, if you don't mind, and if you have some time, just to close off. Okay, first up is guess the jargon. So, which of the following isn't a real SaaS marketing term? A, funnel flicking, B, churn rate, or C, lead magnet?
I would say A.
Yes, of course, yeah. Okay, and number 2 is talking about SaaS mascots. So if Toggl were to have a fun mascot representing its brand, which would you choose? Timmy the time tracking tortoise, or B, Tasha the taskmaster tiger, or C, Tommy the timer clock?
It would probably be C, because we used to have a mascot called Toggl Man.
Amazing.
I think a clock is probably a much better mascot than what we used to have.
Okay, and question number 3, a marketing throwback. So before PPC and SEO, we had A, pigeons delivering flyers, B, billboards bigger than buildings, or C, the good old yellow pages?
Probably all 3. I don't know. I would say B, probably the billboards.
Billboards bigger than buildings, you think? I don't think. Do you think pigeons were delivering flyers? I'm not sure.
Well, it must be yellow pages then. Yeah, bigger than buildings, probably not. But I know they still use some pretty big billboards in Silicon Valley even today.
Oh, I haven't. I should check those out. I don't think I've seen them. Okay, so fictional features. Which feature would you definitely not add to Toggl next year? So the coffee making timer, which brews your coffee when your break starts. B, a Toggl themed lullabies for long working nights. Or C, automatic email senders that just toggling along to contacts every hour on the hour.
Definitely C.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be pretty annoying as well.
Actually, I think A and B would make for pretty good additions to the product, to be honest.
Well, maybe I just gave you some ideas there, actually. So, for the future of SaaS, and finally, of course, so in 2050, where do you see SaaS marketing being? So, A, holographic board meetings with intergalactic clients, or B, AI-generated ads convincing other AIs why they should switch to new software, or C, traditional billboards on Mars, because why not?
I think B will happen a lot sooner than 2050.
Yeah, I think
probably so. In 5 years or so, I can see it happening. Billboards on Mars actually sound pretty good, but, and A as well. I probably sooner than 2050, especially if we connect with another civilization before that.
Exactly. They did just have a whole thing in America where they said that UFOs were real. If I was right, yeah, I think they just say that. So maybe that's also closer than we think, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, Ilya. That's all I have for you today, and thank you so much for having fun with me.
Thank you, Bianca. That was a lot of fun, especially the quiz at the end.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you liked that. I did too. This was actually the first quiz we've done, so I'm glad it went over well.
Really cool idea.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much, Ilya. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you so much again for joining us. This has been super insightful, and yeah, I think I speak for our whole team in saying that we really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Really enjoyed being on the show.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the dynamic world of marketing, SaaS, and the intriguing future shaped by AI. If your project could benefit from a top-tier digital agency's expertise, look no further. Head to DesignRush.com/marketplace. Our carefully curated selection of agencies is equipped to help you navigate the evolving digital landscape and bring your vision to life. Again, I'm your host, Bianca Mayer. Stay curious and join us for the next episode.